Hello and welcome back to match number 6. This time we face a warrior. Okay, for starting hand I would put back Blade Flurry, Deadly Poison is good removal early on, Blood Raider is a good minion, and we can keep one Eviscerate for early game because we have 3 in deck, and okay, we draw another one, but that's fine. What I wanted to say was we can use one as early game removal, even though it's not great, but we don't have a lot of early game minions, so we have to rely on our early game removal. For turn 1 we could coin out the Blood Raider, but then we don't have a good follow-up play, so I rather keep the coin and dagger, Deadly Poison, whatever he plays. For example, his Blood Raider. Because that way we can then play Blood Raider on turn 3 and have a 3-5 out. A 5-3. The stats are obviously reversed. He has more damage than health then. Okay, which is obviously not bad to match his 3-drop. He decides not to play a 3-drop, so we have the board for ourselves. Okay, his answer is Deathbite, which is a good answer because we don't have anything in hand that we can play which would survive the second hit as well. So, okay, I'm pausing you for a second. Everything we play just dies. SI7 is obviously the worst choice because we would like to keep the damage or the battle cry as long as possible for a moment when we need it. Senjin is also, we just play a card and he kills us off with the weapon, so we don't gain anything. If we play Gnomish Inventor, yeah, sure, he can trade it off, but we draw a card from that, which is obviously not ideal. You don't want to have a 4 mana card cycle, but it's still the best option here. That way we can keep the damage in our hand and still get rid of the Deathbite. Maybe. I mean, he can have other things. Okay. Krokan Elite. Turns out he keeps his weapon. Okay, now again everything we play just dies. So we use our dagger on his minion and kill it off and play the Senjin here. The Senjin just dies to it, but if we play nothing, we just let him have the board and then play whatever he wants, and we are not able to develop our board the next turn as well. So we want to bait out the weapon charge here, and we have enough damage in hand that we can probably deal with his next turn play, and if not, we also have the Frost Elemental to freeze a minion and stall for 1 turn and then deal the damage the turn after. So it's probably the best play here. Okay, oh, I don't use the dagger charge here. Okay, okay, he can now trade into it. Okay, that was, I'm pausing here, that was a mistake, obviously, because dealing 1 damage or executing a minion is pretty easy for a warrior, so I should have removed the Krokan Elite here, because then he needs to use the weapon to kill it off, and then his play would probably be the same, but he then has no weapon in hand. So that again wasn't all that great, but Here I can play the Frost element and freeze his face and get rid of the 2/2 as well to gain back some board control. Next turn I can play the Stormwind Champion to boost the Frost elemental out of the deadly range. Okay, that's a little bit weird what I did here. Okay, so I wanted to re-dagger and kill it with the SI7. Okay, these were two plays I don't agree with. The first was the turn before, and now that play I don't agree with as well. We could have just removed it with the dagger and Frost element his face. Okay. Okay, now he uses his weapon charge to get rid of my minion. Okay. Okay. I could have Frost Elemental here last turn, which would... so the two turns before were misplaced in my opinion. Let's see if we can still turn it around. I can... I don't agree with that. I would Frost Elemental his face and just trade one dagger charge in for the 6/2 now. It removes his minion and he wouldn't be able to play a weapon. So he has to develop his board and we have removal for that. Okay, looks like I'm doing that. Okay, finally a good play. If we had done one of these things earlier, he would have probably already used his weapon charge, and him having the weapon was a very big problem for us because we couldn't play anything useful because everything would have just died. Okay, we can Gnomish Inventor here and kill it off with Whiskerade. Which is probably fine. We draw into a Harvest Golem, so I decide to rather develop the board and trade with my minion. Okay, now we are in a somewhat fine position. We have a lot of damage out, and next turn we can Stormwind Champion and Eviscerate whatever he plays, and probably trade in. Okay, he has another Death Bite and a Fan Creeper. Okay, we have 3 Eviscerates in hand, so we're obviously using one. We can Stormwind Champion, Eviscerate and use the dagger. Yeah, I agree with that play. He can kill off the Gnomish Inventor next turn with his weapon or the Harvest Golem, but he can't kill the Stormwind Champion, at least with what he has out. Obviously, if he has an Execute or stuff like that, he can still do it. Okay, he's hitting our face, so he probably has an Execute. Okay. And Sunwalker. Sunwalker is a little bit of a problem. Also is Emperor Cobra. Okay, and Shift just comes great to remove the shield. The problem now is no matter what is left on the board. That's right. Okay, I shift right away, which is not all that ideal. Let me think. We could use the dagger to get rid of the shield and then Eviscerate and shift, or the way around. Use the dagger, Shiv and Eviscerate to get rid of the cow, and then we could also eviscerate the cobra. That way we trade 1 for 1 because the Shiv is just cycles through, but we would be left with only 7 health, which is kinda low, but we can save our board, have a weapon up, but we don't have any more removal. So okay, Shiv first. The order probably is not important. We can still use the dagger and eviscerate. The problem now is we can't develop our Frostwood Warlord because of the Cobra, or we trade both our minions in and play the Frostwood Warlord. So in general, Warrior has no good AoE, so having a lot of minions out is most of the time the better play. So I don't want to trade in both of my minions into the Cobra just to have one big Frostwood Warlord, because if he has Slam plus Execute or stuff like that, it's easy. They have an easier time to remove a big minion than to remove a lot of small minions. So I want to kill off both and preserve my minions and play an additional one, and now we can still Frostwood Warlord next turn. We're pretty low on health, so that might be a problem, but except for weapons, Warrior doesn't have a lot of direct damage. Weapons and Crocon Elite. Okay. Azure Drake into Cleave is a very strong play. We got unlucky there. If he hits the mid and left minion, he still would have 3 minions on board. Okay, plus Fairy Dragon. Okay, we're not going to play the big game Hunter here, so Gnomish Inventor plus Frostwood Warlord, and now we get the Zombie Chow. We can now, I'm pausing here, we can play him as a 7/7 or an 8/8, which probably makes not a huge difference, but the Zombie Chow now makes a big difference because he would be able to kill it off and get 5 more health back, which now is quite a lot because we are somewhat in a racing mode and don't want that to happen. Okay, and as for trading, I need to trade both of my minions for the 4/4 and remove as much damage as possible from the board. Because as we can see, he has lethal on board. I'm now debating if I want to take a risk and leave the Fairy Dragon, leave the Azure Drake up, but I don't want to. And if I play the Zombie Chow, you can just trade into it and get 5 health back. And if he has lethal, it doesn't change anything, and if he doesn't have lethal, he gets a lot of health back. I'm using the dagger charge because it's not very likely that we draw into something that we can't play. Okay, as it turns out, he had lethal and we couldn't do anything about it. Okay. There were 2 plays in the middle which I don't agree with. I needed to get rid of the weapon more efficient, and not killing off the Crocon Elite as a 4/1 and leaving him on board was a mistake, so I should have killed it. The play I did there was too greedy. I kinda hoped he would use his weapon to hit my minion and then the AoE effect of the death rattle would have killed both. I can't rely on such a play, so next time clearing the board is better. Okay, if you have anything to add or questions or saw other misplays or stuff like that, just leave a comment below and I'm glad to answer to everything. Okay, this was match number 6. See you for the next one.